So why don't you take us back to the beginning, to 2008, and kind of just give our audience a rundown of what happened then?
Yes, I was doing a midlife career change and decided to go to nursing school. And while I was in nursing school, almost towards the end, unexpectedly, I was diagnosed with colon cancer. That progressed quickly to lymph node involvement, so it metastasized. I started treatment, learned of my prognosis. There was a ton of fear. When you get a diagnosis like that, it's incomprehensible. All I could think about was my son, my family. So from there, I began treatment and then relocated back with my family, where majority of my family were located, for even more treatment. And from there, the medications, it was chemotherapy, chemo cocktails that changed slightly from maybe about a 5-hour infusion to like an 8-hour infusion through a port in my chest, and then a chemo pill. And then that later changed to, instead of the chemo pill, a gadget that I can't even remember, so long ago, that I had to wear that infused sort of in a way for a certain period of time. So while that all was happening, there was extensive treatment, extensive medication, and then I had a surgery. Well, actually, let's see, rewind. A surgery before I moved, and then a surgery in 2000, and it was either 9 or 10. More medication, and I couldn't take any more medication. I couldn't take any more chemotherapy. I was so incredibly sick. There was a major crushing chest event that led me into the hospital from one of my infusions, like a heart type of situation. And after I came out of that, I wasn't able to do any more chemotherapy. So at that point then I went into palliative care at home. And then I went to inpatient hospice care, and the medications, to keep me comfortable and all of those sorts of things, is extensive treatment. And then I'm not quite sure on why I was in home or inpatient hospice for, I think, a month, and I was no longer allowed to stay. So my parents had to come pick me up. I'm not sure if it was an insurance thing, or I'm not really even sure what. I couldn't really know under the amount of meds that were going through me. There were like a number of benzodiazepines. There was a large amount of opioids. One of my documents was like 1,000 milligrams of oxycodone, or 150 milligrams of Oxycontin 3 times a day. And there's all these different versions and varieties and things. And my parents had to pick me up at hospice. And from there, so that's why I say I was pulled out. But I don't really know all the details. That's 100%. So then I went from there to a surgeon was able to operate on me the 3rd time. And from there, that seemed to put me in a place of no evidence of disease. Now, mind you, when I made it through that surgery, which was very rocky, and my parents had like the priest come into our house and give me my last rites and everything. Nobody expected me to make it through the 3rd surgery. Was reading some of my notes about 8 people holding my organs and, different things between the 2nd surgery and the 3rd surgery, which were unbelievable. In any event, I was in intensive care after the surgeries for like well over a month, and then home care with wound vac for about 6 months. And then they told my parents, because the amount of meds up to that point and then me making it through the surgery, I didn't know hardly anything. I was just a person making it through all of this, being lugged sort of in a way around. And I made it to a place called no evidence of disease. All the surgical interventions, all the medications that continued to keep me alive, I survived, and now I'm on a lot of medication still yet. Not nearly as much as I was up to that point, but still yet quite a bit. So that was 2011, the tail end of 2011.
Okay.
2012 was the beginning to the middle was home care with a wound vac. Then I did radiation, 30 days of external beam radiation. And then my first event of experiencing what I believe would have been an adverse reaction from medication. There were SSRIs, SNRI, benzo, pain meds. There's all these medicines on board for me. And I noticed by looking at my medical records that and then there was also nausea medicines and, all these there's so many. A few changes, an addition of an antibiotic, a fluoroquinolone, I believe, and some changes of some other meds that were adjusted. And it led me to, I destabilized. And I look at it now and I go, I completely understand why I destabilized. There was a lot of tweaks and adjustments that I could tell by looking at some of the records that I have gone through over the last several years that now make sense why out of nowhere I woke up crying. And you would think this is only a short period of time after my son had graduated from college, which should have been the most spectacular moment in my life to live to see that of him. And I wasn't even myself. I only remember approximately 4 times that he was in college. I remember 4 events and that's it. So this destabilization period where I just started out of nowhere, just waking up crying. I'm at no evidence of disease. My son graduates from college and I'm waking up crying from morning till night, just crying.
So do you remember about how many different kinds of medications you were on at this point?
Without me getting my records out, because throughout the time frame, I would say 10, 15, 20. One time I counted up to 32. Through this 14-year period that I was medicated from my treatment and everything, there's all kinds of intervals of where it's changed. I don't have any recollection. It was a lot of meds, definitely over 10.